Just going to look at the 2018 June feedback, which you've done. Well done. So this is for paper one, and it's IGCSE Edexcel, isn't it? So, happy teens, what makes adolescents truly happy? Adapted from an article by Blythe Grosberg. So we'll just have a little look at this and have good fun reading it, and we'll notice what's of De Forestier it has and what it has of my creative writing template, and we'll decide what we think of it, okay, and what genre it is. So, even though the term happy teens may seem like a contradiction, recent studies suggest that teenagers can be happy, in the right situations. Look at use of dashes, which we'll do in a minute. Although the popular concept of the teenagers of a stormy adolescent in constant conflict with his or her elders, such an image may be more of a myth than a reality. As reported in Psychology Today, a study of 2,700 middle and high school students conducted by Students Against Destructive Decisions, SAD, showed that the majority of respondents reported that they had positive relationships with their parents. Teens' positive relationships with their parents meant that overall they are less likely to drink or use drugs. So while conventional wisdom holds that teens are disruptive and show risky behaviours such as alcohol and drug use, many teens are acting in positive, connected ways. What are some factors that help teens, and how can parents raise happy teenagers? So again, you've got the rhetorical question. It's asking us a question, which is hooking us in, and that's part of De Forestier, isn't it? And actually, it's also a rhetorical question. Is also part of my creative writing recipe. What makes teenagers happy? Again, another question, rhetorical question. While each teen is different, there are some common factors of happy teenagers, which we did last lesson. Bullet points. Grateful teens are happy teens, short sentence. According to research conducted by Giacomo Bono, a professor at California State University, being grateful gives many health benefits for teens. Being grateful gives many health benefits for anyone, by the way. A gratefulness practice, saying 10 things you're grateful for in the morning, is a very, very good thing to do. Anyway, so this is expert research, isn't it? Dr. Bono's study of 700 people found that the most grateful 20% of teens were 15% more likely than the least grateful 20% to have a sense of meaning in their life. So gratefulness is a really important study, a quality to have gratefulness. Grateful people also had a 15% lower likelihood of having depressive symptoms. The study concluded that parents and teachers should help teens develop gratitude, which may bring with it vital skills such as cooperation and perseverance. That's a relative clause there. Teens who are able to develop gratitude tend to feel better about their lives, and grateful teens are more connected to others. So we'll look at relative clauses as well, which I promised to do. Healthy teens are happy teens. As reported in Science Daily, teens who cultivate healthy habits tend to be happier. So it starts with a short sentence, doesn't it? And then it gives expert opinion, which is under De Forestier, and statistics, which is under S in De Forestier. As reported in Science Daily, teens who cultivate healthy habits tend to be happier. One study for the Economic and Social Research Council looked at 5,000 young people in the United Kingdom between the ages of 10 to 15. The study found that teens who had never tried alcohol were 4 to 6 times as likely to report high levels of happiness than those who had tried alcohol. Teens who smoked were 5 times less likely to be happy. Also, higher consumption of fruits and vegetables and participation in sports were associated with higher levels of happiness. Therefore, raising happy teens means keeping them healthy and active. Okay, so they've got a study here that seems to be saying that teens who'd never tried alcohol between the ages of 10 and 15. Mind you, that's quite young, isn't it? 15 to try alcohol, really. The teens who smoke were between the age of 10 and 15. Anyway, so we kind of know that anyway, but those are some lovely facts there on happiness in teenagers. Active teens are happy teens. According to another study reported in US teens, again under DeForest Statistics and Facts, US teens who participate in moderate to vigorous outdoor activities were happier than their peers who spent time in front of computer and video games. While many teens enjoy playing video games and many private schools are using iPads in class, parents who are raising teens should take steps to reduce their teenagers' screen time and get them active outdoors. Yeah, if you actually use your body, because we are actually body, we're not just a head on a stick. If you use your body for active activities, you're pushing all the blood around, you're letting the glands secrete, the hormones flood the system, and it doesn't make you ill. It will make you ill if you just sit still all day, because we're not designed. We're not just heads. We're whole moving bodies. Happy teenagers tend to spend more time with others and spend more time outside than their less happy, inactive peers. Active teens are happy teens. So there's lots. So it says this point and then it explores it, doesn't it? The importance of happiness in adolescence. The benefits of a happy adolescence go beyond the teenage years. Studies such as the one conducted by University College London and the University of Warwick, so again expert studies that looked at a survey of 10,000 Americans and found that happy teens reported higher incomes by the time they reached 29. In fact, very happy teens earned 30% more than their less happy peers. So it's all about money, is it? I wouldn't really say it was necessarily about money, but this is putting it all about money here. In fact, very happy teens earn 30% more than their less happy peers, even considering other variables such as IQ and levels of education. I suppose happy people want to employ happy people. It's good to have happy people around, I suppose. Well, there's no doubt that adolescence can at times be difficult. There is enough evidence that it can be a time of creativity, compassion, and connection to adults and peers. I loved being a teenager. It was enormous fun. No work, just a bit of a laugh. Studies also show that it's vital for teens to experience happiness for their future well-being. Interestingly, income had little effect on teens' happiness. While extreme poverty can affect children's happiness, teenagers do not need to be wealthy to feel happy. Teens tend to value the increased social activities that increased income can afford them, rather than valuing the increased income for its own sake. Teens are happiest when connected to others, not necessarily when purchasing goods. Yeah, well, they don't need to buy food, do they? Or they don't need to buy clothing, because it's all bought for them, isn't it? So they don't have to worry about income, do they? Or paying the bills. So that, yeah, anyway. Sort of an obvious article telling us the key things that we normally know about activity, healthy lifestyle, and the gratefulness practice. Anyway, text 2. Why does happiness matter? Adapted from an article by Mark Williamson. Mark Williamson is my mindfulness guru. I actually do all his meditation practices, so it'll be interesting to see what he's got to say. Does happiness matter? So direct address. People react to this question in surprisingly different ways. Some suggest that there are far more significant things to worry about. Look, excellent. Others see happiness as vitally important and something that every human being ultimately wants in life. To explore this puzzle, we need to start by looking at what happiness actually means. So I'm reading this through to show you exactly how a good article is constructed, so that you can copy it. So it has got ingredients of DeForest in it, hasn't it? Happiness relates to how we feel, but it is more than just a passing mood. We are emotional beings and experience a wide range of feelings on a daily basis, full stop. Negative emotions, such as fear and anger, help us to get away from danger or defend ourselves. And positive emotions, such as enjoyment and hope, help us to connect with others and build our ability to cope when things go wrong. Trying to live a happy life is not about denying negative emotions or pretending to feel joyful all the time. We all encounter difficulties, and it is completely natural for us to feel anger, sadness, frustration, and negative emotions as a result. To suggest otherwise would deny a part of the human condition. Happiness is about being able to make the most of the good times and also to cope effectively with inevitable bad times in order to experience the best possible life overall. So again, that's actually got a participle there, trying to live a happy life. It's not about denying negative emotions. So he does actually repeat the idea of happiness all the way through, because that's a good thing to do if you're covering something. One popular misunderstanding about happiness is that happy people are somehow more likely to be lazy or ineffective. In fact, research shows the opposite is true. Okay, again, I looked at colons. If you don't know how colons work yet, go and look it up again. Happiness doesn't just feel good, it actually leads to a wide range of benefits for our performance, health, relationships, and more. Researchers at Wharton Business School found that companies with happy employees outperform the stock market year on year. Oh, it's the same bit of research, isn't it, about happiness? Well, it's a different one, but it's the same outcome. So yeah, so here you've got expert opinion, you've got facts and statistics. Also, a team at UCL discovered that people who are happy as young adults go on to earn more than peers in later life. It's the same piece of information, isn't it? In education, schools that focus on children's social and emotional well-being experience significant gains in academic attainment as well as improvements in pupil behaviour. Yeah, you shouldn't just look on the academic who can get the most maths marks or science marks or English marks. Happiness has also been linked to better decision making and improved creativity. So rather than success being the key to happiness, research show that happiness could in fact be the key to success. So rather than success being the key to happiness, research shows that happiness could in fact be the key to success. So that's a nice sentence structure there, rather than dot 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 comma dot dot dot. So that's rather than in fact, yeah. But it doesn't just help us function better. Happiness also brings substantial benefits for society as a whole. For example, a review of more than 160 studies found clear and compelling evidence that happier people have better overall health and live longer than their less happy peers. They are around half as likely to catch the cold virus and have a 50% lower risk of experiencing a cardiovascular event such as a heart attack or stroke. Happier people are also less likely to engage in risky behaviour. For example, they are more likely to wear seatbelts and less likely to be involved in road accidents. Happier people are even more financially responsible, tending to save more and have more control of their expenditure. But perhaps more importantly of all, people who are happy are likely to make a positive contribution to society. In particular, are more likely to vote, do voluntary work, and participate in public activities. They also have a greater respect for law and order and offer more help to others. There is even evidence that happiness is catching, so that happier people can help others around to become happier too. An extensive study in the British Medical Journal followed people over 20 years and found that their happiness affected others in their networks across 3 degrees of separation. In other words, how happy we are has a measurable impact on the mode of our friends and also their friends. It's a brilliant piece of research, isn't it? An extensive study in the British Medical Journal followed people over 20 years and found their happiness affected others in their networks across 3 degrees of separation. So if I'm happy, then people are happy near me, and then they pass on the happiness to others. Yeah, which is why I do meditation and mantra and gratitude practices and all of the ingredients for happiness every day, so that I spread happiness, not misery, because I know people who do spread misery, and it's not nice. So happiness does matter. The scientific evidence is compelling. The pursuit of happiness is not some fluffy, nice to have or middle class luxury semicolon. It's about helping people to live better lives and creating a society that is more healthy and unified. As Aristotle said, happiness is the meaning and the purpose of life, the whole aim and the end of human existence. Beautiful. Aristotle, he was a philosopher from thousands and thousands of years ago. And actually, he's got a quote there as well, hasn't he? It's exactly what I said. You need to put quotes in all dialogue, and he's put a quote in. Perhaps the most powerful insight of all comes not from research, but from what the response I've heard from many hundreds of parents when asking what they want above all for their children. Nearly all say something like, quote, again dialogue, or quote, speech, I really just want them to be happy. Happiness is the thing we want most for the people we love the most. That's why it matters so much. Yes. Nice article. Okay. So, before we start looking at the questions, which are down here, you can see where these are from. One was from privateschoolabout.com, and text 2 was on Guardian News and Media. So the first question is, you should spend about 14 minutes answering the questions in this section. Read text 1, the extract booklet attached from an article called Happy Teens, What Makes Adolescents Truly Happy. Using the first point, state one paragraph that the study SAD made about teenagers. So the majority of teenagers report being happy every day. I'm just going to quickly find my mark scheme. Okay. I'm going to dig out the mark scheme. While I dig it out, I'm going to get you to look at a video on dashes. Because okay, so our spag point here is hyphens and dashes. Okay, so I'm just going to put a video here for Mr. Bruff. Hyphens and dashes, hyphens and dashes. You're not using hyphens.
Edition of Grammar Tuesday with me, Mr.
You're not using hyphens and dashes in your work, okay? So I'm not particularly happy about that. I'm going to make you watch hyphens and dashes. So here, I'll just put it into your stream here as well. So there we are, it's hyphens and dashes. And so the homework is to write 20 sections using hyphens and dashes. Okay. 20, actually no, I'm being mean, aren't I? 10 sentences. All right? Because actually if you notice that all the good writers use hyphens and dashes, you need to do that too, okay? So, so this is the homework, and I'm going to put it in blue so I can see it, okay? That's a capital really, isn't it, section A? Okay, so, what's the day? September the 29th. So we're going to look at hyphens and dashes, and you're going to write 10 sentences. So here, okay, write, actually no, do it on the script, on your stream. Let's just go back to your stream. I'm going to take all of that here. Copy. So I've got a stream, haven't you? Stream. So that's what I'm going to ask you to do. Okay, it's here in the Jack video section, B, transactional persuasive. I'm just going to ask you to put it in here. Okay, yeah, so we want notes. Okay, get some side notes here, and then 10 sentences. Okay. Okay, so we'll start.
Edition of Grammar Tuesday with me, Mr. Bruff. Everything you see in today's video comes from Mr. Bruff's Guide to Grammar, which you can pick up on Amazon or mrbruff.com. You'll notice the software I'm using to give this presentation is different to the software I normally use, and that's because I'm on holiday and the MacBook I have with me does not have PowerPoint. But just because I'm on holiday, I didn't want to let down all those people who wake up every Tuesday thinking, where's my dose of grammar from Mr. Bruff? So I'm using Prezi. Anyway, I'm going to start with hyphens, which are probably the easiest of hyphens and dashes. It's funny, you know, when you're doing a piece of writing, if you actually stop at the end and count how many types of punctuation you've used, it's probably only going to be 3 or 4. And yet you really want to be using 5, 6, 7, maybe even 8 different types of punctuation. Certainly 8 is the aspirational target for those students who want to achieve the highest grades in any piece of work that's assessed on writing. So hyphens and dashes are quite simple little additions to add to your sort of arsenal of punctuation use that will help you increase that number. So hyphens then, let's start with those. You can use hyphens to create a compound word. So if you have a look at this sentence, 20 odd teachers are not the same as 20 odd teachers. Now what you'll see here is that this hyphenated word 20 odd, which means around 20, is different to the two words 20 odd, which mean 20 strange. Now this is the hyphen here, and you'll see it's 20 space hyphen space odd. So that's how we use the hyphen for compound words, but they also turn other words into one word. So numbers such as 21, 22, 23, and also some prefixes or prefixes, depending on how you like to say that word. That's my ex-girlfriend, the prefix ex. Then we have a hyphen and then girlfriend. So that's the use of hyphens. Also though, when you're handwriting a piece of work, you'll use hyphens. When you get to the end of the line and you haven't actually finished the word that you're writing, you pop a little hyphen in, and that sort of makes the examiner or the teacher realise I'm carrying on this word on the next line. So fairly simple for hyphens. Dashes then. Now dashes are longer than hyphens, and you don't need a space on either side of a dash. So I'll show you an example. They are an informal and quite dramatic punctuation mark. You can see here the hyphens are longer than the dashes. Sorry, the dashes are longer than the hyphens, and there's no space. So what do they do? Well, what they do is quite simple. They're like brackets, okay? So you could have and quite dramatic in brackets here, or you could have bracketing commas to make the complex sentence. But unlike brackets or bracketing commas, what the dash does is it emphasizes the bit in the middle. So if you're trying to say they're an informal and quite dramatic punctuation mark, then it's this emphasis on and quite dramatic. If you're really trying to emphasize the point that they're quite dramatic, then you can put it in dashes because it emphasizes that point. So that's where they're different to other punctuation choices. And there are other uses of dashes, of course. You can use them in an informal way, and it's really debatable whether you'd want to do this in a piece of examination writing, but you can use it to sort of suggest broken off thought. I really like that song. Was that someone at the door? This kind of, I've been interrupted in what I was thinking about. You can use them in sort of writing to argue, and kind of if you're getting really passionate about your sort of thoughts when you're writing a persuasive piece, but mostly it is a sort of informal style of writing. There are two types of dashes, the N dash and the M dash. The N dash is so called because it's the width of the letter N, and it's one hyphen long, and you use it when you're talking about ranges. For example, date ranges 1850 to 1885. The M dash, which is the one you use for all of the other uses that I've gone through in this video of the dash, is slightly longer, thought of as the length of the letter M, and that is, as I say, used in all the other occasions. So how do writers use dashes? Well, we know that Jane Austen, in her writing of Pride and Prejudice, uses a lot of dashes. Actually used a lot more dashes than are in the published versions today. I'll explain that in a second. But this whole book, if you've ever read it, is just all funny and ironic and very elegant in the style of writing. And she uses dashes, Jane Austen uses dashes, for example, when she's explaining, writing a little bit about Mrs. Bennet, who's really excited and almost delirious. The use of M dashes sort of highlights that. Jane's is nothing to it. Nothing at all. I am so pleased, so happy, such a charming man, so handsome, so tall. Oh, my dear Lizzie. If you've watched the BBC adaptation of the Pride and Prejudice, you can imagine the character, sort of giving these lines in such a passionate, kind of hyperactive way. But it's quite interesting because in 2010, Professor Catherine Sutherland from Oxford University looked at 1,000 pages. Over 1,000 pages of Jane Austen's original manuscripts. And what she discovered was that Austen used capital letters and underlining to emphasize words, just as we do today in formal writing. but she also used far more dashes than appeared in her novels. And the reason they disappeared is because William Gifford, who worked for the publisher, didn't like them, so edited them out. So examples like this that you can see on the screen are really good examples of when to use an M dash. But of course, there would be a lot more of them in Pride and Prejudice if it wasn't for that nasty editor. So if you are interested in grammar, please do follow Mrs. Spag on Twitter, Mrs._SPAG. She tweets every day something interesting about spelling, punctuation, and grammar.
Stop this now.
If you haven't already subscribed to the...
So, hyphens and dashes, as I've pointed out to you as we're reading this stuff, is that basically you need to use it at least once. You need to use 8 types, okay, of punctuation. So, let's get rid of this and go and start marking your work, shall we? So, yeah, I want 10 sentence uses hyphen and dashes, please, just so I know that you can work them. Okay, so where are we? I think I've lost your happiness one now, so let's just get it back up. Right. Okay, so I don't mind where you put this, but you need to put hyphens and dashes. So let's have a look. I found the mark scheme. Inbox. I found the mark scheme. Come on. Oh, this is annoying. Where is it? Oh, it's in sent, isn't it? Right, here we are then. Right, okay, so here's the mark scheme. So the first question is 1 mark for any of the following. Teenagers can be happy in the right situation. The majority are happy every day. They have positive relationships with the parents. They are less likely to drink or use drugs. They act in positive ways. So at one point, the study by Sad made about teenagers. What have you put? The majority. So I think that's 1 mark, isn't it? So 1. Okay, we'll put this in red. Okay, they more like to have a sense of meaning. So let's just have a look. Okay, yeah, 2A, 2B. Let's just do this. I'm like to have depressive symptoms. Okay. Gives many mental health, but they have to have a sense of meaning. Yeah, that's it. Less like to have a low. Good. Okay, so I'll give you 2 marks for that. 2. Okay. Teens who never drank alcohol before tend to be happier. Why why are 10 to 15-year-olds drinking alcohol? Yeah, that's what I said, isn't it? Singing from the same hymn sheet. Where's the question? According to the rights, it's important to be healthy and happy. Using lines 24 to 38 in your own words, explain what she says. 4 marks. 24 to 38. Okay, so the answer is healthy teenagers are happier. Teenagers who drink alcohol are more likely to be unhappy. Teenagers who smoke are more likely to be unhappy. A good varied diet is important. Eat lots of fruit and vegetables. Taking part in sports is important. Energetic activities outside are good for you. Spending too long on computers is bad for you. Being with friends makes you happier. Being outdoors more is good for you. People who sit around are less active tend to be less happy. So what have you put? Teenagers who never drink tend to be happier. Why are teenagers drinking alcohol anyway? Teens who smoke are less likely to be happy. Teens who do exercise are having those who instead those who instead watch screens. Happy teens tend to socialise more. So is that in your own words? Probably need to have a look at this, don't I? 24 to 38. Yeah, so I think you got 4 marks there, don't you? 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, so I give you 4 marks. Good. You've got the hang of this. Excellent. Let's crack on. Happy teens get higher incomes. Happy teens get better well-being. Happy teens tend to be more creative. So the question is, in your own words again, using lines 40 to 48 in your own. So obviously this is in your own. Explain how the benefit of being happy is to help in later in life. So the answer says, happy teenagers earn more money before they are 40. Very happy teenagers earn considerably more money. It develops creativity, develops a caring attitude, can help with personal. It helps how well they cope with adult life. Yeah, I'm just going to check that it's not actually. What lines were they? Check that you actually do it in your own words. 40 to 48. Okay, so I'm going to give you that as well because it is in your own words. Okay, so that's 3. Good. Well, you're much better. This is much better. All right, this is about a million times better. 5. Teenagers don't need lots of money to be happy. They just need to live a normal life. Income isn't a huge factor in happiness. Right. 5. 1 mark for each in your own words again. Earnings do not affect being a very poor being very kind. Not have to be rich to be happy. Money does not give teenagers more freedom. Teenagers are more emotional when they're relating to other people than their peers. Shopping, buying does not always make them happy. Using lines 49 to 53. How money can affect. So this I'm just going to check it's in your own words. Income had little effect on teens' happiness. Teens do not need to do well to feel happy. I might just copy that in and then look at yours. It's hard when it's got 2 separate ones, isn't it? I'm just going to copy that in and then look at yours. Where is yours? So this is the original. They just need enough to do it. It wasn't a huge factor for happiness. Good. So you've done that well. Good. Good. You've actually, in your own words, you've got that in your own words. I'm happy about that. So that's worth 3 marks. Good. You're not dropping marks, are you, this time? Good. Okay. So question 6. On the new text, are we? On my. Okay, I'll give you 2 marks there. Although it does say enjoyment actually, but I'm going to give you that anyway. 7-8 helps us enjoy good times. 7B, okay, so there's the gaps between them, isn't it? Yeah. So you can see that there's actually a pattern here, isn't there? Okay, so let's have a look. Let's quickly crack on with this. 1 mark for each of any of the 2 of the following. Make the most of good times. Coping effectively with the inevitable bad times. Copy. And what have you got? Good. Okay, so you got 2 marks there. Happy employees outperform the stock market. Happy people tend to make more money. Happy people behave better. So yeah, there we are. Yeah, so you've got that, haven't you? You've got a happy. You've grasped that beautifully. So you've got all 3 points. Good. 9. Okay, so 9 is okay. 1 mark for each for any 2 points. 1 mark for supporting quotations. Okay, so you've got all of those. Okay. What have you got? You haven't quite got that right, have you? Let me just look at this carefully. 9. In lines 20 to 84, in lines 28 to 44, the writer makes some points about the benefits to a society of happiness. In your own words, identify 2 of his points and provide a quotation from the text to support each point. Okay. That's the question. And so you've done that actually, haven't you? So yeah, happy people are healthier, happy people are better and live longer, they're less happy. There's the quote, happy people are better at handling their money. Good, brilliant. So you've got this. You've got this. Okay, good. 4. Good, you've got it. Gosh, this is great, isn't it? 10. Okay, so this is the one about which one you like best, isn't it? Refer to both text 1 and text 2. Which is more successful in presenting the writer's thoughts about happiness? Why won't that do that? So which one of you? So it's worth 6 marks. This isn't behaving, is it? It's worth 6 marks. You want evidence from both texts. Happiness. So write a whole sentence. Obviously, you need a whole sentence, my dear. I prefer text 1 is more successful at presenting the writer's thoughts. This is an English exam because it has, okay, it has lots of statistics with the writer's thoughts. Because it has lots of statistics. Yeah, so you need a whole sentence. This is an English exam. Yeah, good. So you've got the quote though. Text 1 focus on specific, so the bit is even more accurate for them. Okay. What text 1 focus on a specific age demographic? Text 2 don't have many numbers. People that want to make a body. Okay, all right then. Okay. So it actually focuses on a specific age demographic. And this is worth. Okay, let's have a look at our answer, shall we? Text 1 is directed towards parents. Uses subheadings to break the text up. Uses bullet points for some key points. It's slightly more formal in tone. Text 2 uses inclusive pronouns to engage the reader. Is aimed at a general audience. Has a slightly less formal tone. Both texts use evidence and research. 1 mark for a clear person responsible for text not chosen, and 1 mark for an example to illustrate a reason. You haven't got a clear personal response, have you? 2 marks for clear reference to text, the examples given. You can actually talk about the structure, can't you? You can bullet points, more formal. So what would I give you? So you need to make sure. Make sure you make it personal. I think text 1 is more successful than the writer because that's lots of statistics. Text 1 focuses on specific age guidance so the information is given is more accurate. Text 2 statistics don't have very many numbers. You see, you're doing statistics twice, really. I'm going to give you 4 out of 6, but the truth is you're giving statistics twice. It's probably best to do something else. Let's go and look at the text again. He keeps asking his direct address, doesn't he? That's what I think I noticed about this one. He is giving statistics. All right, okay. All right, well, I might give you 5 out of 5. You could have used direct address there. And you could have used, yeah, so any aspects of De Forest, okay, that they use. So he uses direct address, doesn't he? And it's more formal, the first one, I think, isn't it? Let's have a look. Anyway, it's a good answer. Yeah, so one is much heavier on statistics. You are right. I'm going to give you 6 out of 6, but you 5 out of 6, I think. You talk, yeah. You're basically getting it, basically, but try and talk about, the language, or it's actually quite a hard question, that one. And aspects of deforestry, but you have tried to do that. I'm going to give you 6 out of 6 anyway, and that's it. So you've actually done really well, really good, well done. Okay, so when it's, the only thing is, what you need to do is make sure that you write in whole sentences, because this is an English exam, and try and think of my deforestry, or what aspects they use. One will use more than the other, or are faster crotch, which we've also looked at. So is it using humour? Is it using direct address? Are they using rhetorical questions? Is it formal or informal? So look at the quality of the language. You could actually do an extra point, I would, if I were you here, to make sure, because it's easy to say it's formal or informal, use the direct address, and then talk about the statistics. All right? But overall, I am giving you full marks. Brilliant. So what we need to work on, to be honest, then, is the other two parts as well. We carry on practicing, we carry on reading, and you work on the other two parts. All right, so I'll give you another one to do, shall I? I'll send it for you for next week. Well done, Jack.